it's being disciplined. It's not, living like a monk or whatever and not doing anything, or whatever, but it's having it's having a budget that you can stick to. And even if you can only save like a little bit of money, it's still something, it's still a step forward.
You're listening to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard. Here's your host, Tabitha Bright.
Hello and welcome to Property Investor Tales, stories from the front yard, where I get to speak to property investors from around Australia about their investing journey. My name's Tabitha Bright and I'm the head of coaching at Positive Real Estate, where we help people build wealth through property. With over 8,000 clients across Australia and New Zealand, there are some incredible stories to tell, which hopefully make your investing journey that little bit easier and will inspire you along the way. My guest today is the fabulous Lauren, and we discuss finding a path to invest as a single parent, the power of your tax deductions and depreciation, making them work for you, and overcoming fear to practice courage and get great results. I know you'll get a lot out of this particular session, so enjoy this conversation with Lauren. Hey Lauren, awesome having you here today. Welcome to today's podcast. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Tab. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, listen, we're the lucky ones. We've had some fabulous clients coming on for the podcast series, and we really do appreciate it because we know that, when you're a new investor and you're starting out or you're wanting to change some of the results you've had with your investing, it's awesome hearing other people's stories and the lessons I've learned because, I've always said to clients when they've been part of our mentoring program, a big part of the coaching and the mentoring program is hearing and seeing from what your peers are doing. You do so much learning in that space. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It was really great during our face-to-face time, being able to connect with other, other people in the mentoring program. So not just learning from you guys, but also connecting with each other was really valuable. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, COVID's kind of put a kibosh on that from a face-to-face in the interim. And obviously there's the Facebook and there's everything's online now, which is pretty awesome. So I just thought I'd ask you, I've got some fantastic notes from you. You've really done your homework. Your background's in teaching, I understand. And so, like a very good pupil, you've given me heaps of information. So we're going to go through some of that. And I always like to get started and kind of relax into it with, I guess, what is one of the weirdest and funniest things that's happened to you on your property journey? What comes to mind for you?
Okay, so, gosh. Weird property. I guess weird property was my first house, so that was a bit of a shocker. My first one that I bought when I was in a partnership. We didn't do very much homework there, and we didn't realize that when you buy a house with problems, you buy the problems as well. So that was expensive in the long run. Something to laugh about now. So do your homework. Don't just buy it because you think you love it. Do some shopping around a bit more. We should have done. I'd say that one, if you don't mind.
No, that's totally fine. And you put some wee notes in around funny/desperate. You and I were having a bit of a laugh before. And you said to me, is it okay to say this? This is a forum, you can say anything. So we want to have a free and clear conversation with, what I can see you biting your lip, warts and all, right? And I remember you saying along the lines of, I remember when I found Positive Real Estate and you tab ... So tell me about that.
So after I separated,
Yeah.
I lost the house, had to sell the house,
Yeah.
and had to come back to like pretty much at the start, like right back to the beginning, not very much funds, had to sell the house, had to find a place to rent, had to furnish it, had to, find the bond and the rent and all of that sort of stuff. And
Yeah.
kind of really, well, let's just say desperate with a smile on my face. And then I found you guys, but like I knew that I was very motivated right from the get-go. And having had a house, I knew that I had to get back to where I was as quickly as possible. And I just knew that having property would do that for me.
Yeah.
And so then I found you guys, and we were doing coffee clubs and mentoring. And initially there was, come along, meet and greet, and I think you get two or three or three and three of each one. And I just kept coming because, and because I knew that I had to. I had to. And I just kept coming and coming and coming. And you were like, oh, you're here again. Oh, yeah, I'm here. And that's that's when I joined you guys. I just knew that I needed, like that knowledge and to get in, and that you guys would help me because I didn't want to make the same mistakes again as well. Like I couldn't, literally afford to do that again.
Yeah, so and you took on the role of parenting, being the primary caregiver for your son, and you and I chatted. So to give context to the conversation for people listening, the mentoring program, you can come along as a guest and experience the mentoring workshops, the education workshops, and all that kind of stuff to get a bit of a feel for it. And I'd said to Lauren, because I knew a little bit about her story, that she was starting from scratch and rebuilding, and as a essentially a single parent. That's hard graft. I've been there. I had an early marriage, didn't go that well, was a single parent. And when you're starting from scratch, and you're young too, so you may not feel young, but this is how many years ago now, Lauren?
Oh gosh.
Must be a while.
Yeah, my son's 12 now, and he would have been.
He was little. I don't even know if he was at school. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, so a long time ago. So you were young, rebuilding. You'd been burnt. You'd had a bit of a dust up, as a lot of people have. And so you'd come along as a guest, and I'd been a little bit relaxed about it because I knew your story, and I felt for you, and you'd come along a number of times. And eventually we sat down. I was like, okay, Lauren, come on. We need a commitment. I'm happy to help you and work out something that'll work for you, but we need you on board if I can really assist. And so you made the leap, which was big for you, because we also had to get deposit funds together. Mm-hmm. So we had to work out something that was going to serve you and still have a commitment to the program, which we did, which was awesome. And so today you've got how many properties now under control? 2?
So I've got one, and I've had that one for coming on 2 years.
Yep.
And then there's another one going to settle in Canberra in about a year and a half.
That's awesome. And the one that you've got coming up, some of that was funded from the equity in the one that you originally did. Is that correct?
No.
Not correct? No.
No. This one's not.
So you've saved 2 deposits.
Well, I saved the deposit for the first one. Yes. Yep. And then off the depreciation and taxes of the first one, that gave me like a big deposit, like a big amount for the next one. And that's then awesome. An auntie gifted me some money as well.
A portion as well.
Yeah, that was the clincher actually. So that enabled me to do that. So I haven't actually touched any equity off my first one.
That is awesome. And I know where you bought in Melbourne, there'll be some, and we don't have to, obviously share those details, but I know there'll be equity, particularly in this rising market, right? And so the hardest thing was getting that deposit initially, because you've got to start from scratch and get that cash together, right?
Uh,
And you did an awesome job. I think the thing that always sticks out for me in coaching you is your tenacity. And we knew it was going to take time. We knew it was going to take some grit and some grind. But now that you've got now 2 under your belt, even though one's still to settle, I still count that, because you control it, you own it, you have to settle it. And if it goes up in value over this time, that is your equity. So it's 2 properties. And from here on in, it gets easier with that equity being created, which, I just think hats off to you, hun. You've done an amazing job, and you've set an awesome example for your son.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's been really great kind of reflecting, doing the off the plan because you get maximum depreciation, and then that just comes back and goes back into, back into the house and back into the next house. And
Yeah. What a lesson.
yeah, it's amazing actually. It's actually
It's nice getting that. And this is why, sometimes people say we want to buy existing, we want to buy an old house. With an old house, like you said with your first one, we buy a lot of the problems, right? And when we buy new, we maximize our depreciation and our tax benefits. And so that's been substantial for you to be able to get big chunks at tax time. And you're an awesome saver, and you're very good with your money. And so you've been able to put that aside and put that towards a big chunk of your deposit, which is phenomenal.
yeah. Buying off the plan for both of them has been essential for me to move forward and get back to where I was, well, actually I'm way further than where I was in the beginning anyway, so now
Congratulations. That's awesome. It's awesome. And then I guess the classic question, if you could give some advice to your younger self, like knowing what you know today, is there anything that would come to mind that, with the gift of hindsight, you could tell somebody that's starting out that they need to know?
Yeah, 100%. You need to back yourself as an individual. You need to be able to accomplish things as an individual. And I mean, I'm not saying don't rely on other people, but you need to have the knowledge and the strength and like part of, I guess, braveness and courage to be able to do that part of the journey on your own. Yeah, so I think that's a really big thing. I think in the beginning I was kind of bought into the fairy tale happily ever after, we do it as a couple thing, but yeah, I think I should have backed myself a little bit more. Yeah.
Okay. And then
start earlier if you can as well. Actually, you don't know this, where I grew up in Brisbane. Yeah. And I went to one of the Bayside high schools, like Wynnum, and that used to be all like the old Queenslanders and $100 and whatever thousand. I would go back and tell myself to buy like an old Queenslander down in Wynnum or Manly, and I'd be minted right now.
Well, you can't go wrong with blue chip, right?
Well, it wasn't back then. Like the bay was all mosquitoes, and well, like quite working class down that way. It was never what it is today. Amazing and beautiful. Beautiful, yes, but it hadn't sort of been discovered as let's live here. the houses were kind of old. It was very working class, and and then people, clocked on to what there is,
Moved
and then
in.
everybody shifted in. Yeah,
Yeah,
all
the
the
good old
food-
rule of gentrification, eh?
Mm.
And even though it's and like you said, it was mosquito laden and so forth. Anything with water, even if it's mosquito laden, they'll clean that up.
Yeah,
It's always, water position, all those golden rules, isn't it?
100%. Yeah.
Huh. And then, what would you say to the person watching this video that is wanting to build a portfolio, but is really scared of making the wrong decision? Like, what would you say? Because like you brought up courage before, you used that word courage, and courage isn't, my understanding of courage is it's not having fear. It's having the fear and then finding enough, I guess in this case, education to give yourself confidence to move forward despite the fear. That is courage. It's not an absence of fear. So for someone that's scared and sitting on the fence, what would you say to them about building a portfolio and taking a leap? Because you're very brave doing it on your own. Yep.
Yeah, I think to be scared is normal, and to be scared is good because it means that you care about what happens to you.
Yep.
And I think that if you um, hook in with like your coach and your mentor, and you do the research and you do the numbers and you do all of the background research and all of the numbers check out. I mean, for all of my things, Tab, like right from the get-go, I have been super clear about my stance on risk, because I've come from extreme financial stress, and I'm really interested in doing that again.
Yeah.
So whenever for any of the deals that came along, I said, look, I'm really I'm quite conservative, and I want to do everything, do all the calculations on a worst case scenario.
Yep.
Higher interest rates, less rent, all of that sort of thing. So
Yep,
then
important.
when the numbers do look good, I know there's like a really nice buffer there, in case things are a little bit more expensive and I'm still okay. Yeah. So I would say, do your homework, do your research, and step. Yeah. And do it, because if you don't, then you never will.
Yeah. You end up talking about manly.
I know.
We've all got the one that got away, don't you worry.
Yeah.
It's like, God, I wish, like, seriously, it's that thing, like what you said before, like starting young, right? Like, it's not over, Red Rover. I mean, I have clients that have done incredibly well starting in their 50s, but if you can start early, oh my God, wouldn't you just start early?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I remember one of my girlfriends, she bought property at 19, and I remember going, wow, she bought a house. Geez, you don't need to do that yet. And that was in Wynnum, like Wynnum Manly somewhere. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Well, we can't change the past. We can just move forward, right?
Yeah, but the lesson to my son is,
Yeah.
I talk about him saving money for his future house now. He's got a house account, putting, little bits of money in, but I talk
Right.
about his future houses now.
Well, that kind of leads me to another topic, is being able to share this education with your kids. And I don't know if you know this, but I'll talk about it. At Positive Real Estate, your mentoring, Lauren, that you've engaged us in, is also includes your children when they get to the point that they become adults. And we've had a heap of clients, because Positive's been around, I think 20 odd years now. We've had a heap of clients that have come through, and their adult children then benefit from their mentoring programs. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. You may or may not be.
Not officially, no.
There it is. I've said it on a podcast. It is there for everybody. Yeah, it's just something that we want to do for our fabulous clients. And you mentioned here that you remember calling a couple of times a day leading up to signing of contracts with questions about the contracts, needing reminders, clarification.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
So
tell me a little bit about that.
yeah. So in being nervous about, sort of taking that step to, secure the property, like to sign the contracts and things like that. I remember with my first place, I had it was all there and I wasn't sure. And I think I was calling you, and I was calling, like, I was calling Pete, and I was calling contracts. And I was like, what if this and what if that? And just checking this and just checking that. And I remember, and every single time I called, I was like, sorry to call again, but I've got another question. Or call again, look, I'm really, I'm nervous. And they go, it's okay. It's all right. And never ever was anyone upset with the number of times that I called.
It's pretty normal, to be honest.
Oh, well, okay, that's good to know. Yeah, everyone was just really lovely, listened to my questions, even if they had told me the same thing like twice already, yeah, just reassuring me, going back over, numbers if we needed to, and that sort of thing. So it was really really a lovely and a calming process, actually, because you guys were there for me when I needed you, to answer the questions that I had asked a few times already, in different ways maybe. Yeah, it was good, like amazing support.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Well, you've been an absolute delight to coach, and I think I've said that probably a multitude of times, but it is from the heart, and I absolutely mean it. It's always, when you rock up at mentoring, it's always like, woohoo, the party started now. You're a social butterfly. I guess the last question, it's similar to one that I've asked already, but for people that are at the beginning of their investing journey, what advice or insights would you have? You've got a couple here that you've responded to my questions on. Stay positive, believe in yourself, that kind of stuff. Anything you want to add, anything that you want to wax a little bit lyrical on?
Yeah.
You've got some good almost budgeting tips in there.
Yeah. So so it's a long game as well, like I think I put in my notes, like, play the long game.
Yep.
You need to be patient, you need to be persistent, you need to just think about it every single day.
Yep.
It's your goal. Every single day you've got to keep your goal in sight and do that. You've got to have a budget, and I think I said, there's budgets and there's realistic budgets. And you can work out this amazing tight budget right down to the last dollar, but there's no wiggle room for anything.
Yeah.
But you still have to live life as well. So be kind to yourself and let yourself live life. But
Yeah.
Getting a house comes with good budgeting, and it's not, sort of take out 5 nights a week. It's not, you're not going to get a house on Uber Eats, 7 nights a week. That will never happen.
Truth.
And in terms of bills and things like that, a really big thing I do is when I get paid the very next day, money goes out to my electricity bill, my gas bill, my water bill. It goes to my son has an account, he gets a little bit of money.
Yeah.
There is like a medical health account. There's a car account, sort of fuel and expenses and that sort of thing. Lots of different accounts. So when the money comes in, it goes to all the places that I need it to go including house and savings. So, like a good chunk of that goes to my next house. I'm still saving for my next house.
Yeah.
And then, there's an account for groceries as well. And then, like you end up with like a little bit of money left over, and it's okay to spend that. But if there's some left over at the end, then, that gets chucked in the house account as well. So it's being disciplined. It's not, living like a monk or whatever and not doing anything, or whatever, but it's having it's having a budget that you can stick to. And even if you can only save like a little bit of money, it's still something. It's still a step forward.
Yeah.
And at times it will feel, like life's really expensive and it feels like you're going backwards a little bit. The beginning of the school year is, hurts. Birthdays and Christmas sometimes, when the kids want, that extra big thing. But you know what? Like, you still have to have life. They still have to, like have nice memories and, that. But, when you can put the money aside and it's still stepping forwards.
Yeah. It's doing the right, it's like diets and so forth. It's doing the doing the right thing.
I'm reflecting on my own, like.
Well, I've just shoved a big thing of chocolate down me, so we're probably in the same space. So it's that 80%, like you're doing 80% of it right consistently, and consistency is not a word you've used, but I think it's a part of why you've been so successful at getting this under your belt, because it's that consistent, that drip of doing what you need to do every day. And yes, there's been stuff that you've had to spend money on, stuff that you wanted to spend money on, but it's the consistency, and I think that's really important.
And this is it. And the stuff that you want to spend money on, like there's a thing that I want to spend money on at the moment, but like I'd like a new car, but I can't, like I have one, it does the job. I don't have money owing on it. Like I own it outright. I'm not paying anybody else, extra money. And that extra money is going to my next house. So, I can wait. It's fine. And you've heard me say this how many times, Tab? Like I can wait a bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Because often when you and I are having those conversations like we did tonight, you're like, and I hope you don't mind me sharing, if I get this thing that I want, this car, because you've fallen out of love with the one that you've got now. It's thirsty, I think was your word, which is probably hitting you in the budget a little bit. You said, well, is that going to impact me settling the property I've got coming up? And I was like, yes, unfortunately it is. We can get Peter, the broker, to double check that. Because, the devil's always in the detail with this stuff. So ask Pete to run some numbers for you and get him to double confirm what I've just said. But my gut feel is yes. If you want to spend X amount, it is going to impact your servicing. And that's, once again, what you're very good at, is saying, okay, well, I can wait until I settle this property. Then I might shout myself before I knuckle down and we focus on number 3. Nothing wrong with that, hun. Like you said, life's for living, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's great having that, and having you and you guys, like the other coaches, to say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. This is what I'd love to do. What do you think? And just the fact that you've gone, probably not a good idea, is enough for me. Yeah. And actually, I remember I told you, like Pete said to me, that time I wanted to buy another place. It was because in the beginning I was just applying for everything, like
got a bit excited.
And I said, oh, what about this one? And I was just dead keen to get something, anything. And he knows as well that I'm, erring on the side of caution, or very much on the side of, caution and conservative. And he said, yeah, you could, Loz, but it's pretty out there. I was like, all right, okay, done. Forget that one. Just wait.
And sometimes it's good to explore these possibilities too. Because then, you learn from it. And sometimes, we do get clients that show interest in certain property deals, and then we go through the numbers and we check it out and we do the servicing and we look at their strategy and does it fit? And sometimes it's like, well, it's a great deal, but it's not a great deal for you. Yes. So pull you out of that and we go back to the drawing board and we wait until something better comes along, or we go out and, get you that thing that you need. So the next one came along.
It did. And, and the fact that he said to me, this is probably not the one for you.
Yeah.
Was, really, really great. It made me feel great that he said no, because, it's not, you guys are not just there going, oh, she wants this one, let's, get her that one. It's really, thinking about me and my position and, where I'm at.
Yeah.
And say no is a really wonderful thing.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure coaching you. And I'm sorry I haven't seen you face to face for a wee while, but this COVID allowing, we all should be getting together sometime soon. There is a secret rumour, just so you can put it in your diary, and I hope I don't get shot by the powers that be, that we may have a special mentoring event in late June, early July, so which will involve people getting together. So I'll keep you posted on that one, and we might get some social time. Which would be pretty cool.
Right. Yeah, I would love to catch up with you in person. That would be amazing.
And ditto. Alrighty. Well, I think we'll wrap it up there, unless there was anything else you wanted to share with everybody.
I don't know. Just, keep going. Be positive, keep your eye on the prize and just keep going. Yeah.
Awesome. Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Lauren. And we'll wrap it up there, folks. Awesome. Good night.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening to Property Investor Tales. Remember to subscribe so you get notified every time a new episode drops. As you can guess, I love hearing people's property investor tales. So if you'd like to share yours, then please get in touch with me via email at propertyinvestortales@positivementor.com.au. We would also love your feedback, and I would appreciate a 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Remember, you can watch all of these podcasts over on YouTube at Positive Mentor or at positivementor.com.au. Until then, take care, happy investing, and bye for now.